name is Dr. Tom Lankering. I'd like to welcome you back to another program of Healthy Lifestyles. Would like to thank Grassroots TV for this opportunity to bring this information, and also Aspen Core Realty, Sally Christ and Mark Kwasinski, who have been in the Valley for a long time, very committed to the community and helping bring some great value to the community. So Aspen Core Realty, again, want to thank you for all your great work in the community. Check them out for your real estate needs there. So bring back a guest of mine. I love the conversations. I think it's great information. And I think one of the reasons is just the depth that we get into with really getting the heart of the issues here. So I want to welcome back John Bruna. So John, thanks for being here. And a little introduction as to the organizations that you're working with these days. So you've got some great work going on. So just give people a little introduction, the companies and what you're doing with those.
Yeah, once again, always a pleasure to be here.
Thanks.
And yeah, I work with the Mindful Life program, co-founder of a mindfulness program, one in which we really want to give people the skills to live the life that they find is meaningful and with attention and intention. The other organization I'm the director of is called the Way of Compassion Foundation. And the impetus for that is to provide people with tools that are going to empower them to live a meaningful life in alignment with their own value system.
So what you were saying there, I mean, it sounds like they kind of dovetail, talking about maybe inner relationships, outer relationships, and I guess helping to cope with the world we've got going on, right? I mean, what initiated these companies or these organizations for you to put these together?
Yeah. Well, the Way of Compassion Foundation came first. As you're aware, I was a Buddhist monk, and about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, coming up already, I transitioned back to the life of a layperson, and I returned my vows in the monk's robes, and had the fantasy of actually going and doing silent retreat and not talking to anybody for a long time. That has not panned out just yet.
You have too much to tell people, right?
Yeah, we have a plan, and then there's life. So people would request some teachings, and so when you're asked to teach, you teach. And I lived as a renunciant just off of offering. So even though I was a layperson, I pretty much was monastic in my lifestyle. If somebody would ask me to come and teach and help them, I would do that, and I had a jar. And there was never a charge, there was just a jar. So as the requests kept coming in, I thought about, what's a way that we can make this really meaningful for people, because this is being requested a lot. And because of my background, I have the really great sort of responsibility to be able to speak with kids who are in juvenile halls. I'd be asked to speak at juvenile halls or colleges or hospice care or Buddhist centers. I could be asked to speak in a wide variety of ways because I had overcome my own adversities. And the ability to speak with the homies in Compton or a boardroom was something that has been part of my process. So the Way of Compassion was thought, what is it as humans we all have that we struggle with, whether you're living under a bridge or whether you're in a $12 million house? You're going to find that as human beings, we have a lot more in common. And a core being that wants to live a life that's meaningful. So the Way of Compassion was a way to utilize a variety of tools to help people meet their needs and live a meaningful life. And so we came up with the nonprofit because I never wanted to charge anyone. So anything the Way of Compassion does is always donation-based and always accessible to all. I kept being asked to come out here to Western Slope, and wound up moving here to Carbondale. And when I moved here, I was asked to teach mindfulness. And with that, we came up with a program that could really take the tools of mindfulness in a way that was practical, accessible, and universal, in a way that I felt mindfulness was missing a few pieces in our culture as it's been brought into our Western culture, and to use it in a way that is very practical for a Westerner but doesn't leave anything out. So for that model, we developed an actual 16-hour course for people to teach mindfulness to. And that is a for-profit organization. And my goal there was that I could teach other people to teach this. So we have a teacher training program. And my goal is to have a bunch of mindfulness teachers out there to teach this, to help people. And then I can slip away, and who knows, maybe I'll find my way back to my meditation cave.
Interesting. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can go with this in life, right? I mean, a lot of different applications, probably any area, any dynamic of our lives you want to do. I think today we were talking about looking at as far as relationships are concerned. And there could be our own relationship with ourselves or relationship with others. And I think certainly if you can find any way to improve either of those, you help make this world a better place.
Right.
So what approach, what area do you think you want to go with? Because I know we're working with our National Geographic 10-part series and so forth. But so in this area, just to kind of get us a little more on the relationships, what do you think are some things that you think people are having a big challenge with these days, and some tools or the direction we want to go would start helping people improve that area?
Yeah. Well, this is a very timely topic because we're now coming up on the holidays. So this is really a challenging time for people coming together as family. Right now we're coming up on Christmas. We just had Thanksgiving. But throughout the year, whether we're having weddings or baptisms or other important events or family gatherings that come together, what is going to be this important time often becomes a very stressful time. Right? How do we deal with our relatives, and how do we set into this relationships that we have with others in a way that is healthy and meaningful without creating the stress? The holidays bring a lot of dynamics up, and unfortunately quite a bit of suicide and struggles, and the idea being that this day is going to be uniquely different. That we have this thing that we carry in our mind about how this day is going to be, because we've got a plan, and there's this mystical aspect or magical thinking that on Christmas we're all going to get together and we're going to have this incredible time, and everybody's going to put aside their beefs and their biases and
we're all going to
their
have
politics.
Great presents and
the presents will be here,
glowing
and
and shining,
eggnog, and it's going to be
it
wonderful.
doesn't always end up like that. And if we don't meet those expectations, I think there are a couple of things. Sometimes we have expectations, and I like the phrase, you turn your expectations into appreciations, and your life becomes a miracle, right? Whereas a lot of people have these expectations that they hold on to so much, and they can't let go of those. And if you let go of the expectations and have appreciations for whoever's there, or whatever you have in your life, or your health, or whatever it is, and develop an appreciation, it's a focus, and it can be a conscious choice that people can make sometimes, that they're looking at. And I think a lot of people are not aware of either the states they're in, the words they're using, because even words are powerful, and a transformational vocabulary. You can use different words for a situation, and the words that you can use can transform that situation that you're dealing with. You could say, I'm raving upset, or you could say, I'm a little ticked off.
Right.
Those two have a completely different approach. And so I think these types of situations with expectations that people have in situations, can be a powerful tool for people to work with.
Right.
What are some of the other things that you find that in this area that are, particularly challenging, or issues that people are dealing with a lot?
Well, you've touched on a lot there, and one that I will come back to later that I hope to if we have time. You and I tend to get
I'll write it
into this
down here.
stuff,
So,
is expectations, and that's one of my favorite topics, and I think a very poorly understood one. But relationships with people and our ability to really have healthy relationships with people is really a skill to be cultivated, as you were bringing up, right? How do I talk to someone, and how am I aware of how I'm feeling and how that is coming across to others? we have an interesting way of looking at others. For example, you know, I often when I lead a workshop, or I will say, does anyone know somebody who's annoying? And there's always a bunch of giggles. And I'll say, there's no such thing. There's no annoying people in the world. And they're kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure Tom here, or John, or Jim, or so-and-so, they're really annoying. And I go, they are not intrinsically annoying, right? If they were truly annoying, everyone would be annoyed all the time. And but when they come in a room, you know, they're just Jim or Tom or John. But I'm feeling annoyed. And if I start to understand this dynamic a little more, I can start to realize that we'll call him Jim. And Jimmy, we'll call him Jimmy. I like Jimmy. Okay. So Jimmy's annoying, or Jimmy's a jerk. Well, what happens is, if I start thinking that Jimmy's a jerk or Jimmy's annoying, every time I see Jimmy, he's a jerk and he's annoying. Right. I see him. He's pulling up in a car. I'm already, oh, Tom, oh my God, here's Jimmy. I'm already worked up. He's not even out of his car yet. So you can see how that type of dynamic.
He's all excited about seeing you.
Yeah.
Right.
He wants to come on, let's have the show, hey. And I'm annoyed, and he hasn't even done anything annoying, right? And so if we start to understand this dynamic, we can start to look at how we label people. And once we place that label on them, they become this thing. And this thing's not accurate ever. It's, if you were talking about the idea that how I'm feeling has a lot to do with how I'm going to view Jimmy. If I'm in a really good mood, you and I are having a great time, hey, there's Jimmy, you know. It's not a big deal. Right. But if I'm a little sick or a little under the weather, didn't get enough sleep, my best friend trying to be nice to me will be annoying as heck.
Right.
Our problem is we point the blame out there and we say they're annoying, they're this. One of my real favorites is when we say, well, if I don't like somebody, Jimmy the jerk, you know, he's a liar because he lied. So he lied, so he's a liar. Now, have we met anyone that hasn't lied? Okay. I'm a liar. Okay. Is that who I am, a liar? Well, I've also told the truth. Am I a truther? I think Jimmy's told the truth sometimes. He's a truther. Is he a liar? Is he a jerk? Is he this? Is he that? And if we can start to understand that all these things in the way that we label people, we limit them. Every time I see him, he can't be anything but a jerk. He can't be anything but annoying. When in fact, they're another human being just like me. And Jimmy wants happiness just like me. And Jimmy probably does 100 things every day that is not annoying and not jerky. Is he annoying when he's cooking breakfast for his kids? Is he annoying when he's paying his bills? Is he annoying, you know, when he's helping his mom across the street? You know, no. 90% of the time, he's not doing anything jerky or annoying. But I don't see those, right? I put this one label on, and then with that label, everything he does, even if he does something nice, you know what I'm thinking? Well, he's just doing that to impress people. And so if we really want to cultivate healthy relationships, we want to start understanding our role in the relationship, how my prejudice, biases, my own internal feelings, my own judgments, and my own values are clouding what I'm seeing and interacting with, when in fact Jimmy's just another human being who at his heart wants to be a good person and wants to find happiness and want to avoid suffering, just like me. Right. Now, he might have been brought up in a different political environment. He might have been brought up in a different situation. I'm about to leave and go visit with 125 men and go do a spiritual retreat out in California. And most of these men have grown up in the penitentiary system. They're all now in recovery, and we're doing a spiritual retreat. Now, these are men that 10, 15 years ago, you would not want to, you know, meet in a back alley. When I go and meet them today, they hug you. They don't shake hands. They hug you. Hey, I love you, brother. And then we're going to spend the weekend cultivating love, kindness, compassion, meditation. And now, are these guys bad guys, or are they good guys? Well, you know, 10 years ago.
Well, they did some bad things. Doesn't mean that they're bad guys. And I think that one of the things, too, that I find with a lot of the work that I do and the emotions, we've spoken about this before, but the midbrain and the subconscious emotions are a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. And I think that a lot of times, you can take it in any relationship, let's just say a marriage or friendship or business relationship, and if we start developing these types of labels that we put on people, my understanding is that a lot of the times those situations are a result of emotional triggers that are subconscious. Let's just take in a relationship, a spouse might think that the other is the cause of the problem, or they don't put their dishes away or whatever. And all that's doing is triggering me because I've had an emotional experience earlier time in my life that had so much emotional charge that it blew the circuit out. And we may try to put a rational explanation on why something's wrong with that person.
Right.
But I think that that's kind of misplacing that energy and that focus, and that's creating problems where, again, that's an opportunity to go, oh, I'm getting triggered. So a lot of these situations, whether you talk about find ourselves putting a label on Jimmy or our spouse or whoever, even, getting together with family and stuff like that. Someone can say something or do something, and it's not in that moment, but they triggered something because back at 5 years old, that was associated with an event that had an impact, and it's been like the emotional train track that just keeps triggering us. So all these different types of things, I think, when we're dealing with these emotions and these relationships, I think the world's like a mirror for us, to reflect back of really who we are, as opposed to projecting what we think, the situation out there is, or the people out there that we're dealing with.
Right, and what you're really emphasizing is what we're bringing to the party.
Our expectations, right? Or what we
what
we bring to the party.
As
Right.
simple as, so if I can start to understand that all beings, including my relationships, and it's the holidays, and, Uncle Jimmy over here is going to be Uncle Jimmy, I have the lifetime of experiences where emotions will get triggered around, there's Jimmy again, and I've already place those labels and limitations on him and how it's going to be or when he talks. But what I need to understand is that I have influence here. I have a great deal of influence on not only how I'm going to experience it, but what I'm bringing to the parties. John Gottman, an incredible researcher in marriage and relationships, can pinpoint, even in marriage, when couples are having conflict, with a high degree, over 90% accuracy, how long they'll stay married, if they'll get divorced, and so forth, by how couples relate in conflict. And he found 4 factors, 4 horsemen, he calls it, of the apocalypse, 4 ways in which we really destroy relationships. And you already highlighted one of them, criticism, right? You're the problem. And when I criticize someone, I'm pointing to them as the problem of the relationship that we're having. And so criticism, it's almost like he likes to say, it's like I'm criticizing and I'm expecting you to be really happy that I've pointed out all the flaws that you and all the ways you failed,
so that you can be a better person,
and that you can
so
help.
Right?
Yeah,
person,
right. And
okay.
and that actually destroys relationships, and it provokes defensiveness rather than there's a shared experience here. And in relationships, we tend to think, you're here to make me happy, and you're not doing your job. I'm not happy. Buck up. Make me happy.
Right.
Because when, in fact, the happiness or lack of it's really coming from my sense of well-being, and I'm pointing the finger at you. So healthy discussions, the masters of relationships, they, when something's brought up, they treat it as important, and they both have a part in it. Contempt is the most powerful determinant factor about destroying relationships. And contempt is really a sense that I'm better than you. And the interesting thing about contempt is it also is a downregulator of the immune system. They've actually associated how many infectious diseases the recipient of contempt will have over the next few years in a contemptuous relationship.
Well, emotions are powerful, and
Yeah.
they do. More studies are showing how they affect the neurotransmitters and the immune system and inflammation and everything like that. So, yeah, I mean, the emotions play a huge role
Yeah.
in our health there.
So if you start to understand, if I'm treating my partner with contempt and their whole immune system's going down, imagine conversely if I treat them with a smile and love and kindness.
Right. Right.
Well, it's palpable. Emotions have an impact. They have an impact in the room. When we're all at the dinner table, whether it's Christmas or so forth, if somebody's angry and they're stressed, you feel it.
Sure, sure.
So if we're happy, if we're showing love and kindness, one of the most powerful things you can do in any relationship is to attend to whoever's there, to accept them, have eye contact, putting a smile on your face. When we have happiness, we are wired to smile. The emotion triggers a physiological response. There's 7 universal emotions. It doesn't matter whether you're Aborigine, Italian, whatever. With these 7 emotions, you're going to have the same physical experience and the same face and smiling. Well, conversely, if I make that face and have the physiological experience, I'll trigger the emotion. So here, when we come into these relationships, if I can attend to, if I can accept that this other person is not intrinsically bad or good or being a jerk or not, that they're human and they do stuff. And I treat the stuff that they do appropriately, but not intrinsically as their nature. So that means boundaries.
Right.
They did something stupid, we'll deal with that, but that is not defining them. And I can attend to the relationships in ways that are meaningful. And if I can bring love and kindness and attention to, attend to, from the Latin root, really to care for, people feel that.
Right.
And so how I'm coming into the relationship, whether it's at a dinner, wedding, Christmas, holidays, accepting it as it is, accepting people as they are, and responding and relating in a way that I want to come into it, has a big influence over the dynamic that's happening, the energy in the room.
Yeah, and I think that along those lines, it's powerful with that is that, 4 things of, especially now with people is, having an intention of unconditional love, whoever that person is, joy, peace, and gratefulness. Having those 4 intentions to deal with people. And I wanted to mention too, one of the things that I've worked with is that you mentioned looking at people in the eyes. And here's a powerful tool to work with is that the way that the eyes and the brain are set up is we have the right brain and the left brain. And so if you look at the eyes will crisscross. So the right eye goes to the left brain, which is more your logical, analytical brain.
Okay.
Whereas your left eye connects to your right brain hemisphere, which is your creative and your emotions. So in connecting with people and bonding in and bonding out with people, if you connect through the left eye, you are connecting through the emotions. Whereas if you are in the right eye, people are more triggered in making judgments and analyzing. So that's one thing, a tool for people to help bond and connect is left eye. Go to the left eye type of situation to go on. So I wanted to mention one other thing because I think that there's you're probably familiar with tapping methods. And there's a great tapping method that I just want to share quickly. But if you fold your fingers and you get this crease here on your hands, and you're going to tap those points, and then with these fingers just on the flats underneath your eyes. And I'm sharing this also with the folks out here. And if you it's a double tap. And the phrase is, I totally, completely love myself, even if I'm stressed out about Jimmy or whoever. And you visualize that stress at a 10. And I totally, completely love myself, even if I think so-and-so is such and such. Down to an 8, down to a 6, down to a 4, to a 2, to a 0. And what it does is it doesn't get rid of the emotions or anything, but it just helps to reset the circuits. So I just wanted to share that. That's a little tool that people can use. And when you get done, if you still have a charge, repeat as needed. Rinse, lather, and repeat, and then keep doing that until you feel. But it's connecting acupuncture points and just part of a tapping method that can help people if they feel stressed in a certain
Yeah.
situation, that they can take that and apply that. So a couple little tools I wanted to share.
Yeah,
there. So,
that's great.
But amazing things though that you're talking. I think that the intentions that we get into a situation with people. Sometimes we need to be reminded about unconditional love, or I'd rather be at peace instead of being right, or joy that they're there or we're there, or or just gratefulness type of situation.
Yeah.
So
Gratitude, incredible tool. We have in our system called the 4 immeasurable attitudes. The 4 immeasurables. These are ancient teachings called the Brahma Viharas. And they are really a path to cultivate an open heart and really solid, healthy relationships. Of equanimity is one, loving kindness is another, compassion, and what we call empathetic joy. And so it's an actual practice that people do, and tools to be cultivated, immeasurable attitudes that you can't measure the incredible impacts that they have. So if I'm cultivating love and kindness, for example, and I'm coming into the room with that, I'm bringing a mental state of well-being into the interaction. Really incredible, because you cannot have simultaneously love and hate for the same object at the same moment.
right, light and dark. You can't
Right.
have.
It's like a light switch, right?
Right.
And
So,
you can have hate in the next minute or
Right.
second, but not at the same moment. So the more that you cultivate that, the more difficult it is to have the more detrimental, things like hatred and so
Right,
forth come into your mind. Yeah.
there you go. So there, hopefully, boy, I think some great information. At least I enjoy it. I think it's powerful. I think it's things that you can start with and tools to use on the journey. So, John, again, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can visit us at the Mindful Life program. That's websites www.mindfullifeprogram.org, or the Way of Compassion Foundation, which is wayofcompassion.org.
Great. So, John, I want to thank you. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the message. Does it work? I don't know. Are you doing work? Are you working right now? Or
Yeah.
are you? So you gotta
But when
love
you
it.
love what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
There you
right?
go. So much appreciated. Thanks for taking the time and sharing the information. Also want to thank Aspen Core Realty, Sally Crisp and Mark Kwasinski for making these shows possible. My name is Dr. Tom Lankering. You've been watching Healthy Lifestyles. Thanks, and make it a great day.
Aspen Core Realty provides exceptional residential real estate brokerage services in the core, West End, and greater Aspen areas. Realtors Sally Crisp and Mark Kwasinski offer over 30 years of combined brokerage experience in the Aspen real estate market. They also provide insightful Aspen market valuations for Aspen properties. More information can be found at aspencorerealty.com or by calling 970-309-0444. Aspen Core Realty, specialists in the core and West End of Aspen.